Howdy, howdy. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. How's everyone doing today? Great. I hope. I just realized that most people can't respond to me in a Twitter space. Yeah.
Unless that was leveled at me, Robert.
No. It's it's great, to be here. It looks like a lot of people are starting to really fill in here right now. I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here today. It's really exciting. We've been working really hard, trying to build all the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. And we're working on a quick little surprise that's only going to be available during this call. So by being here and participating in this call, you're going to be able to access some of the cutting edge that Bittensor has to offer. But I think that before we go there, I really think that we should. I really like to start talking about why we started building this in the first place. And so this goes all the way back to one of the first. I think the first week of December. We were at the Neural IPS conference, or Neural Information Processing Systems conference. We met a lot of really great, intelligent people there, and got to meet people that were working on similar things to us. And this was around the same time, on that Tuesday, ChatGPT dropped. And so, of course, we were talking about it at the conference, and some RL people and I were discussing, this probably wouldn't be all that hard to re-implement and make our own version of, like an open source version. And so little did I know that there's a lot more, it's a lot more involved than you initially realize. And so we were able to, make a model that was pretty good at being aligned within the first couple of weeks. And, obviously, this was a research project, just a re-implementation. And I showed it to some community members, and they were really enthused and jazzed about it. And so, we tried to make it better and better, and really design out some of the principles that are going to be a part of what Bittensor is going forward. And so it took a little bit longer than we initially wanted it to, but I think that where we are today is now we have at chat.bittensor.com a interface to these types of prompting models. And so because we have just released Finny, which enables us to have subnetworks and delegated validators and delegated staking, this next step that we are taking is going to enable incredible businesses and applications to be built on top of Bittensor. So Finny was that first step, right? The ChatTensor was a research project, really trying to figure out what's the best practices and share that with the greater community. And with Finny, we've enabled delegated staking and delegated validators for businesses to come online. And we've seen some businesses come online, like what Mog Machine has been working on, what Mr. Seeker's been working on, what AI Zoro's been working on, Tau Station. There's so many, and RunPod. I mean, there's so many. It would be hard to list them here. I don't want to leave anyone out, but it's been incredible to see this growth come online. And so ChatTensor, the idea is that anybody who's operating a delegated validator is going to be able to spin up their own validator, spin up a WebSocket and REST API, and then be able to gate access to the Bittensor network, whether it's through Stripe API integrations where you're taking like Fed coin or, United States dollars or, British pounds or so on and so forth. You can, take accept crypto, however you want to take payment for the value that you're providing there, which is providing access to the marketplace of machine intelligence. Is your prerogative as a delegated validator. And so Chat Tensor is a demonstration of that. But we really want to take it one step further. And we want to make this go interplanetary. So, we have with the Nakamoto subnetwork, the subnetwork 3, a excellent mixtures of expert next token prediction model that you can get embeddings from. There's all these different types of synapses that you can get. And what we started working on today, and not today, but what we've been working on, and something we want to demonstrate today, is what would ChatGPT or what would a prompting model like that, where instead of it being predict the next token, it's user assistant, it's in a messaging format. What type of performance and what type of network and what type of models could we include in a network like this? And so for the remainder of this call, we want to demonstrate what this prompting network can offer and what a delegated validator is going to be able to offer, and what I like to think of as like a mini commerce district inside of the Bit Tensor network. So I'm going to tweet this link out really quick. This link is going to come down when we're finished. And you do not have to delegate to be able to access this demo. All you need to do is log in with your Polkadot.js wallet, your Talisman on your desktop. We also offer support on mobile with the Nova wallet. And so...
hey, Rob, can I ask a question to give the audience some more context? Can you explain exactly what makes this different from Chat Tensor that we saw last week? And what's so exciting about what we've done here with the demo so people can understand?
Yes, so absolutely. So right now in the Bit Tensor network on subnetwork 3, you have to, that is in the logits or the tokens. It's in a numerical representation, that knowledge. But with the prompting network, what we really wanted to do was validate just straight up text. So there's no tokenization involved, or no detokenization, no applying forward passes to the logic processor or anything like this, right? We just wanted to evaluate text. And so utilizing the research that we did with Chat Tensor, we are using a reward model to validate different APIs on the network and different types of models. So theoretically, a human could be a member of this network. They might not be able to respond fast enough, but based off of prompts, a human could, type in the response or, any type of language model, any type. So, we're talking about like a Cohere API. If you plug in the Cohere API, that's going to work on the Bittensor prompting network. If you plug in Goose API or AI or LangChain or anything that is a language model that produces text can be validated and earn rewards in the marketplace that is Bittensor. That's what we are building right now, and that's what we're going to be demonstrating the prowess of this of a subnetwork like this. A part of go ahead,
Rob. If I may add some color too.
Yeah.
So what we have here with the demo is really an expansion of what we had last week with Chat Tensor. So Robert did an amazing job of producing a language model, Chat Tensor. We trained it in-house. It's our own model. We needed to do that to learn how these things worked really well. And obviously, Kara did an incredible job of that. And what you guys have been playing around with was a model that was hosted on Bittensor. But there was no incentive mechanism for chat-specific language understanding.
Yes. Yeah.
We had built Bittensor to be very general, to work with unsupervised language models, and that produced an output which was very abstract and a little bit difficult for most people to understand and apply in an application, sort of more on the side of the ML ops rather than the client-facing applications. But what we've built here with the prompting network is an entire network where the outputs of these models are very interpretable. For instance, what is the capital of Texas will return Austin, and that's what the miners are literally responding. So what Robert was saying is that you could literally sit behind this endpoint and answer these questions directly. We don't care. We're agnostic to the way in which this information is produced. The demo that we're going to post in the chat below is literally connecting to a test network where this is running. So you're querying Tensor, but Tensor is talking to, right now it's about 10 models, and selecting the outputs of those models as the prompt response. What's really cool here is that we have not just one model, but a whole market of models that can plug themselves into this front end and attempt to maximize the reward. So we hope that this will drive down the price, and also improve and drive out the diversity of what we're seeing in a chat front end. There's really the sky's the limit with what you can build. And this is just a demo we built in one day. So, hopefully people, like it. So, I mean, that's the color I'll add, Rob.
Yeah.
I'll pass the mic back.
No, excellent. Great. Nice, nice bounce pass. You know what I mean? Like, I just tweeted out the demo link. All you need to do is log in. If you're on desktop, log in with your Talisman or your Polkadot.js. If you're on mobile, we just started supporting mobile on both this demo and regular Chat Tensor on chat.opentensor.com using the Nova wallet. We're going to be appending to the FAQ very shortly. We just added this functionality maybe like an hour and a half ago. Feel free to throw some of your hardest problems at it. This is all running on a test network on Bittensor right now, and I think Jake said it really well. We are model agnostic. If you are producing intelligence, that intelligence is encompassed inside the marketplace that is Bittensor. So if you are limited by say a specific API provider to a particular quota that you can use with Bittensor, because we have not only just redundancy but programmability built directly into these models. If you want to build an application and doing that with either having your own delegated validator or having an agreement with a delegated validator, either through a subscription service or whether, just delegating that Tau or, paying in crypto, you can build your application on top of Bittensor off this prompting network specifically. You can think of the prompting network as a commerce district inside of Bittensor, and you can build your application and not have to worry about, the API going down, because we have, right now we only have a few miners, few UIDs in that network. But once we open this up here towards the end of April, once we open that up, we're going to have hundreds of UIDs all running their own variations of Chat Tensor, whether it's self-serve or self-hosted, or you're using a blend of different APIs, or whatever your exact prerogative is. That's going to be driven by the incentive of the Bittensor network. So, there was somebody I follow on Twitter, CT Lewis. They are operating GPT Labs, right? I've seen, that's a great example of someone who's had struggles with. In his case, it was the OpenAI's API, where they just had so much demand, but because they had to request access for more, quota, their application broke. With something like Bittensor and hundreds of UIDs, this is not something that we have that redundancy and that ability in there, such that you're not going to run into that issue.
And this is a really interesting point you're making, Robert. And when we first set out to build Bittensor, we thought, the incentive mechanism is going to drive people to open up their compute and their intelligence and their data into the network, and that's going to be the killer app. We're going to have the most amount of compute, we're going to have the most amount of data, and we're going to have the most high quality models. And indeed, that is something that we drove over the last year, and it's been amazing to see. But there was another dimension that we didn't consider when we were building Bittensor at first, which was the censorship resistance. And because we're agnostic to what the miners are doing, and because there's this single entry point into this neural internet of endpoints, you can't censor that entry point. There's just too many to censor. So there's a large conversation right now going on in the AI industry about this memorandum from Elon Musk and Yoshio Bengio and the less wrong guy about censoring and stopping machine learning, or if you sign up for an API with a lot of these projects, often they say, here's your quota, and who are you, and what are you using it for? We have AI that's gated, and this extra dimension that I'm talking about, which I didn't foresee, was the fact that we're building a gateless AI, truly. And because we're decentralized, because we're run by a large number of people distributed across the globe, you can't cut us all off. We're each like the head of a hydra. And so this is, something very interesting you mentioned there, Kara. I totally agree. If you want unstoppable applications that are AI built on artificial intelligence, I think that we're providing that. And for the first time, that's coming out with this new prompting network in a way that is very expressible and understandable to a general audience. Like, we've touched into the real world. So anyways, Rob, that's all I'll say on that. And I'll bounce pass it over to you again.
Yeah, no, I think that you're hitting the nail right on the head there. I mean, the something that also that I've been discussing with some community members, that we've seen very recently, is plugins with the Chat GPT plugins, right? Where the model, all you do is basically just give it a manifest, like a schema, dictating in natural English what you want it to do, and then it writes the code and executes it for you. It's really interesting concept. And what's so cool about this prompting network is that will work out of the box. Like that is something that is built in directly, not built in directly to the prompt network, but the functionality, you could recreate that using this prompt network. So our goal is to encompass all of machine intelligence, whether that's images, whether that's audio, whether that's video, whether that's prompting, whether that's next token prediction, and any other type of artificial intelligence that comes out in the future is going to be available on top of Bittensor, because Bittensor is like the neural internet. And Jake said it really good yesterday. We're like in the 1999 with the internet, and right now it's really hard on Bittensor to go and find the exact type of information that you're looking for, because it's not exactly clear how you would do that. Because it's just never done before. And with what we're doing here with Bittensor, particularly the prompting network and delegated validators, is that we're working on something very similar to like what Google did with PageRank. And so, we're making it not only searchable, but accessible. So not only like is the types of delegated validators that you can build really interesting, whether it's just a simple reward model and you're setting weights proportionally to the rewards, you normalize that, you do all that good stuff to it. Or if you want to make it super complex, like where you query every single UID for a few tokens and then you know have a learned model, like an extra linear layer at the very end of the model that uh, selects which tokens to use based off the responses that you got from the model. Um, there's so many really awesome ways that you can harness this application, not harness this on the AI side, but also harness this for business applications. So unstoppable ones that cannot be gated by people in their ivory towers who think that they know better than you. I mean, it's one thing where we have something like liquid democracy, like what we have here in Bittensor, where I imagine if a validator did something like this, where they were gating their knowledge behind because they knew best, you're going to see inflows and outflows of the staking based off of how people, feel about that particular validator. And yeah.
Rob, better yet,
Yeah.
You don't even need to go through the validator. You can circumnavigate them and talk to the network directly.
Yeah.
Right. The validators are simply client applications to make it easier and more expressible to use, more user facing. But the network is open to anyone, to developers out there who know how to access it. Go in and use it. I mean, it is incentivized. There is an economic barrier for sure, but that comes with the territory. So yeah, no, you're right, Robin, and I like the analogy of indexing, right? With Google and how the ability to index the web, their algorithm for doing that, PageRank, which unlocked the need to curate information for the user that Yahoo had done and failed, was the killer app for them.
Yeah,
it was simply an indexer, a ranking method. So we're ranking the neural internet. That's what validators do. And they provide front ends for their users. Slightly different, and analogies can only take you so far. So anyways, I mean, Rob, I mean, is there anyone on this call who's actually using? I'm really curious. I guess people can't answer this, but put your hand up if you're using the front end demo right now, or comment in the channel below.
Yeah, let's bring some people up here. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like, what? Okay, so people can come up, and in the meantime, I'll explain a little bit more about what makes this so interesting. Like from the front end, it might not seem so amazing, but what Robert has built here is effectively an unstoppable application AI front end.
It might make sense to talk a little bit about how this really sets down the path for to build things on top of Bittensor for anybody, not just for us or for anybody else.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what Rob built here was something that he did the front end took a little while, but we're building the tools so that you can plug in with these components. You can build your own chat tensor application, and we want to make that so easy that you can build it in a day. If not, with a single Docker Compose up, with your validator head key, you can run your own chat tensor, and that's what makes this really, really, really unique. So, hey, Rob, maybe you can talk about that while I bring up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's actually something that is really exciting. I've been working on it. It's I'm still working very diligently on this. But my idea is that, let's say you're a delegated validator, right? And you want to have your own application. Like, let's say you want to do something like what Perplexity AI has been doing. They've been doing something really interesting where they combine the ability of I don't know if it's Bard or if I'm not exactly sure what API they're using. I'm pretty sure it's just a single one though.
OpenAI.
They're using OpenAI and then giving the ability to quote the sources on where it found that information. Let's say you want to build something like that, right? Well, what you're going to be able to get out of the box with what we're open sourcing once we launch the public the public prompting network that's incentivized is you'll just do Docker Compose up, and you just have a config where you specify your cold key, your hot key, and then these different API keys, whether that's Stripe API key, the Coinbase Pay API key. We also can, or you can build your own proprietary payment methods in there as well. Because this is all just a part of a Docker Compose. And then now what you have is a REST API that's gated behind that has like a database for users, and then the ability to generate API keys, and then you can also get a WebSocket or a REST API. You can have both running or just one, and then you can build whatever type of front end you would like, and boom, now you have a business that's like Perplexity AI, that's like what a lot of these applications you've been seeing, yet it's unstoppable. And it's you as a delegated validator, the cost of there are costs there as to being a delegated validator. You can also accept money as well. And so the idea is that you'll accept money more than you're spending, and that difference there is going to allow you to hire people to make your product better. And then, you can start growing the amount of people who are using your service. So then, boom, that's a flywheel right there. I mean, just, going right off. And, you have a business, and there could literally be hundreds of businesses just like this on top of the Bittensor network.
Right. And Rob, we also have dedicated.eth up here on the stage. Dedicated, if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, hey guys.
Welcome to the stage.
Thanks. I'm just trying the app right now. It's pretty interesting. It seems to be answering general questions pretty well, but when I ask it to write code, it doesn't seem to load. It's just like ongoing loading. And I did have one other question about the how come we're doing like censorship of questions right now, like making certain questions like off limits, because I thought this was like more of like a decentralized sort of thing.
Wait, why? Where is that?
I probably know why. So this is a demo, right? We kind of hacked this together and really quickly. We're using a reward model right now that can promote this type of behavior. I first off, I'm deeply sorry for that. Right now we have, over what looks like over 100 concurrent active. It could be DOSing on your code issue. It could just be because.
I think it might be a load thing because
it's a load thing. Yeah.
And a retro thing.
Yeah, it could be a load thing for that one.
So
and then,
to answer your question specifically, we're not censoring anything here. If there is a censorship that's occurring, it's because the endpoints themselves are being DOSed, or the endpoints themselves are choosing to censor your transaction. Now, so we wrote them all, so we know that that's not the case. But that kind of raises a point, about what how censorship can happen inside Bittensor, right? So yes, we could build Chat Tensor to censor certain types of questions and queries. We didn't, but also the miners themselves could censor your request. But there's competition there, amongst the 1,000 UIDs we have right now. Not all of them are hosted, not even nearly close to all of them. They could themselves also not answer your query. So there's censorship, but the way that we get around the censorship is with decentralization. If there's an interest, Rob, please.
So like on the validator right now, or on the validator, right? You're going to be able to, like, if for example, like you'll be able to train your own reward model from the prompting network using synthetic data from the prompting network. This is actually another really cool app. So it can generate synthetic data, and then you can train your reward model. And let's say you want your reward model to be such that you return the least censored or the least biased or the least whatever, whatever you want to specify, as the validator or as just a member, having a hotkey that's registered in the network, you can choose based off all of those responses, right? So getting a censored message right now, I'm deeply sorry. This has been very frustrating to deal with. We've been trying to deal, we have some beta testers that are part of the community that are helping us eliminate all of these biases and all of these rejections. Hopefully it was more verbose in its rejection, because before it would just be like, please stop asking me, you know why. Like it was very it was a lot more unwilling to respond to certain types of questions. And then we took it too far, or it would respond to too many types of questions, like it would respond incorrectly if it didn't know, that sort of thing. So it's a very delicate balancing act, and we're still working on all of this technology. But getting it into your hands and getting into the hands of the community, I think, is how we're going to solve that issue of what I think a lot of people right now are frustrated with other model providers about. So,
dedicated, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so eventually, because it says it's trained to decline inappropriate requests, right?
Right. Okay.
Does that mean all requests will be declined, or just...
No, all right. So look, I think, okay, so let me explain a little bit more about the mechanics of what happened there specifically. So we have a number of endpoints on this test network. We have a Rob's model, we have a number of other APIs on here. We have some local hosted models. We have some random models. When you query Chat Tensor, which is the front end, that front end queries the network and gets a plethora of responses and then ranks them. So some of those models may not have censored your request, and that's by design, because if a model stays open on Bit Tensor, they're going to perform better than if they remain closed. And that's that incentive aspect to the network. It just so happens that the front end selected the censored message from one of our endpoints and then served that to you. So we didn't censor you. The endpoint we chose to leverage your message, or to service your message, pardon me, was the one that censored it. So if we were to open up the this box and look inside, you would see a number of responses. It just so happened that we picked the censored one, which was a mistake on the model that we wrote.
The reward model,
today.
Yeah.
Right. So, but this is precisely what we're trying to get around here. There'll be some content that some providers, some miners don't want to service, and they'll lose out in this competition because if they censor messages, they'll get a low reward in the incentive mechanism. So we force open the door with the mechanism. Okay, so there's someone else wants to come on the stage. I'm going to bring up.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so we're getting Mohammed. Hey, Mohammed.
Hi there.
Just wait.
Hello?
Okay. I think he left. So, all right. Well, maybe he lost his internet connection. I know what it's like. So, why don't we close it off then?
Or here. Do you want to? Let's invite Dickie Emerson. Would you like to come up, or Terrence, or Yumara, YR, Dread, Dr. M? I kind of want to let. There's still people kind of trickling in and using the demo a little bit. So.
Yeah, possibly. And also, I mean, there might be some people in this call that would like to talk about what they're doing. Like Timo, I know you've been doing some amazing work out there. This can be your stage as well, if you want. Dr. M, you're welcome up.
Serdar is clapping. Serdar, you want to come up?
I think he's clapping for Timo.
Oh, Timo, you want to come up?
in Timo's stead, he might not want to come up on the call.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm going to call him out and say, super, huge thanks to Timo. He's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, things that we can't touch as the foundation. He's been doing a great job, so kudos to him. Why don't we wrap up the call? I think that's it. There's no more speakers here. I mean, the demo's out there. People will see. I think it's really interesting. We've gone a long way in 1 week. We've gone from local model hosted to the front end to, we have a whole prompting network being tested, and this is going to come at the end of April. It's going to really, really, really blow us up as a project, I think, because we're going to be the first censorship resistant API for chat in the world, and we'll be able to see what we're creating, what we're building, as a community in a way that's much more visceral and understandable, comprehensible to us. So for me, that's what making me really excited about this. I'm hardly holding back my excitement on it.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun working with the team on this. It's been great building it. The team that we have standing, I want to shout out the team real quick. The team we have standing behind us are some of the most incredible human beings I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And, they work tirelessly to build all of this together and put all of this together, whether it's the Synapse team or the Nucleus team, the Cerebellum, or, our team, Cortex, for us three up here, we have tons of people standing behind us, supporting us, and big shout out and big thanks to them for their continued support. Also, I want to shout out the community, particularly the Chat Tensor community committee. They were invaluable in helping debug and find bugs and find biases and really test so that we can make some of the best things that we can. Without the community and without the team, none of this is possible. And so, big thanks to them. I'm going to we can leave the demo up till maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock Central Time. And then we'll take it down. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Robert. And thanks everyone for coming. Have a lovely evening.
Bye, guys. Bit Tensor on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bit Tensor! Yeah! Great job, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay, ciao.